Even though I just got a phone call from my buddy who always knows I broadcast at 5, but he calls me at like 2 minutes to 5. Then he says, listen, I'm live in like a minute. And he says, oh, you're broadcasting on a Sunday? And I said, well, what else am I going to do? What else am I going to do? So there you go. That's how that whole thing works. A lot of the events have been canceled in this neck of the woods. So what else am I going to do? Then he says, all right, so we got a bunch of folks in the chat. We got Carlos was in there first. He was in early. And Stig was in just after him. And let's see here. They were back and forth for a while. And then at 4:56 p.m., Durr came in and said, Tudor sucks. I commented on a video review that, was it Bark and Jack or somebody released? I think it was Bark and Jack about a Tudor. I said I'd pass on Tudor. So yeah, he was saying how great it was and all this. And I'm like, what are these people thinking? The bottom line is they're not thinking. They're not using their imagination either. Carlos is in the house saying hello, Durr and Deport TGV. I wonder what he's got on wrist. I know he has at least one really nice timepiece. I wonder what he's got on wrist. Stig is in the house. Let's see. He says, Durr, yes, and there are a lot of Tudor governments too, at least here in the old world. Now I've got the 002 Stunner. The 002 Stunner is on the bench today. It's on the bench, and we're going to talk about man caves. And let me see if I can get Hyde Park up here on my laptop so that I can show it. Okay, first of all, I'm going to get that in a new tab, and then I want to show these images first, because this is really cool. And what's interesting about this Hyde Park is they have the location outside of Charlotte, right near Lake Norman in Cornelius, North Carolina. My folks used to have a place near there. And I was the original, I registered LakeNorman.com, and we had that website going for a while, and then we sold that. But Lake Norman's a beautiful area. A lot of NASCAR drivers have places on the lake there. Multi-million-dollar homes. So anyway, they opened up this Hyde Park facility, and you can buy these units. These are like high-end self-storage units, if you will. And what's really cool is they don't have hardly any restrictions on use. You can pretty much do whatever you want. You can even have a little loft in there with a bedroom. You can pretty much live there. You can have an RV in there with the full hookups hooked up. You can set up a bar in there, all for personal use, right? Now you can also run a business out of one of these. So like if you're a plumber and you need a place for your plumbing supplies and to put your trucks in overnight or whatever, you can do that. So it's very flexible zoning, which to me makes it really, really intriguing. And I looked into them a while back. Well, geez, probably 8 years ago now. And they weren't terribly expensive. You could buy different size units, right? And of course, some of them were outfitted more than others. But see, he's got a pool table in there and all, and and most of them are fully finished inside. And so, what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about having a man cave? I'm going to need somewhere to put the motor coach when I get it. And having a man cave, having the motor coach inside. Let's get this photo up. Looks like I can't get a large version of that photo. Well, maybe I can. Well, let me see here. Okay, here we go. I guess that's about as big as I can get it. So yeah, a little man cave. What do you think? Now, most of them are 55 foot long. That one looks like it's not. That one looks like it's shorter because the coach almost fills up that whole length. That coach is probably a 45 footer. So I'd get one that was 55 foot long. And you can get, you know, as wide as you want. You just pay more money, right, to get more space. And the one neat thing about them is the condo fee is not very high. It was very low when I looked into it. So the carrying costs are very reasonable. So let's see. Bark and Jack is a tool bag. Today I had the best bar service in my life. I recorded it. Okay, well, we'll have to take a look at that. If you want to email me the link, we can pull it up. I can't pull it up from my iPad, though, from the chat here, unfortunately. Let's see. Durr's in the house. Craig, did you see Watchbox released an almost 2-hour video with Joe Kirk, and they were talking about dials and referenced the 002 and how rare it is? No, I should check that out. If you think about it, send me a link. I want to check it out. I'll pull it up and play a little bit of it here now. If you can share the link. If not, I'll check it out later. Let's see. And Kyle's in the house. Let's see. Carlos, are you still on vacation? No, I think he's still traveling. Did Jeffrey Epstein have a place at Hyde Park? That'd be a good question. He could have. He had a lot of places. Let's see. But here's the thing. With a motor coach, you definitely want to keep those puppies inside. You do not want to keep expensive equipment like that out in the elements. That is not a good option. Not a good option. When you're not using it, keep it inside. That's my motto. Same thing with my cars. I would never let a car sit outside. That's not a good plan. Let's see. What else will you put in this cave? I would store all kinds of things in there. I'd even probably set up a small photography studio in there. I would primarily use it as a waypoint, as a place to keep the coach. And when I was getting ready to travel, see, it's only about 6.5 hours from here. So when I'm getting ready to travel, I'd go down there a day or two before, you know, my departure date, and then I'd take some time to make sure the coach is all ready to go and everything, and hang out there for a day or two on the lake, and then head out from there and do my travels and all, and then come back and put the coach away. And that would basically be the home base for the coach and whatever other things I want to have there. Just a nice indoor storage, climate controlled, to keep some goodies. I think it would be a good plan. I think it would be a good plan. What do you guys think? Mr. Q's in the house. He's all over the place. And Carlos sent an email. What's rent on one of those? That's a good question. I'm not sure what the current rents are, but I would probably buy one as opposed to rent one. And the last time I checked, they started out around 100,000 and went up from there. And a fairly good size one was 200, 250-ish in that range. So they're not cheap, but it's in a really nice area, and they're really well done. So they're a little bit upscale. Let's see. Will you live stream the purchase of the new motor coach? Maybe. It depends on the circumstances. Depends. Okay, let me see if I can check this email. Speak of the 002, let's show the 002 while I do that. Because we can. Okay, let's see. Okay, bar service. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, let's check this out.
Oye, nada, esto ya es lo más, vamos. Lo más. Lo más, lo más.
A ver, chicos.
A ver.
Les voy a pasar un cabito. Ahí está.
Muy bien.
¿Cuándo compraste cacharro? Porque estos días no lo tenías.
No, lo hemos
Looks
acabado
pretty
de
good to me.
Ah,
Joder.
genial, es genial.
Mira, una
Sí.
cervecita por aquí, fresquita. Y luego, el de ron negro es este, las 2 pajitas naranjas, ¿vale?
That looks pretty good to me, I have to say. That's what you call service. That's what you call service. Okay, and here's the watch box. I'll cut to it once this. I gotta skip this commercial. Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Tonight we are going to be celebrating Grand Seiko's
Okay,
many
so we're not going to play the whole
mesmerizing
thing. It's a long puppy, but I'm going to watch it. Definitely watch that later. And maybe Durr can give us a quick summary of what else did they say about the 002. What else did they say about the 002? Give us a little teaser. Let's see. I really like the use of the word loft. It is the exact same word in Danish. The Vikings brought it to England, and from there it traveled to the New World. So much for cool. Kevin D says beautiful. I'm not sure what he's talking about as beautiful. Is that Carlos Caljet? Sig, that's lofty knowledge. There you go. All right. So I really did this show about the man caves because our wags asked about it in the last show, so I figured I'd do a little something and show that because at the time I didn't remember what the name of the place was, Hyde Park, but they've got two locations. They've got one there near Lake Norman and just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and they've got one down near the Daytona Speedway in Daytona, Florida. They've got a location, and they've been very popular. They've added several more complexes, if you will. They started out with the one with X number of units, and then that sold out, and then they made a whole nother group of them, and I think they've made several groups of them over the years, so they seem to be popular, and it's an unusual thing. They're not. I've never seen anything like it really anywhere else in the country. I've seen storage units that you can put coaches in, but nothing that are as nice as these, and nothing that has the wide open zoning where you can basically use them for any purpose. That is unusual. I mean, most storage units, for example, some of them you can't even put vehicles in. They won't even let you put vehicles in, right? And almost none of them would let you, stone cold live there, right? I mean, just build a residence into there. And many of them will not let you run a business out of them. I mean, so most of them are pretty restricted down as far as, what you can do with them. Yes, that happened 3 hours ago. Yeah, Carlos. Joe just talked about the rarity of the O2 and how it's not an easy piece to get. Okay. That's awesome, Carlos. Carlos, living life. Well, yeah. Are we transcending the parallogrammatic, algorithms of AI by watching a YouTube on YouTube through YouTube? There you go. That's a good question. Let's see. The lovely Bree is in the house. Bree, what do you think about a man cave? What do you think? Do you think there could be such a thing as a lady cave? A lady cave. Here's what we were talking about. Man cave. There's a facility down outside of Charlotte, North Carolina that a lot of the NASCAR guys and other people buy units in there, and you can store a motor coach, you can store large items in there and kind of make it the way you want it. And they refer to them as man caves, but could something like that also be a lady cave? Could that be a lady cave? Let us know in the chat, Bree, what you think about that. Mr. Q says, I think Scottsdale, Arizona has some of those man caves on the down low. Okay. Yeah, see, zoning is the big issue. I don't think it's easy to get wide open zoning like that. But it's interesting that they were able to do it both in North Carolina and in Florida. They were able to pull it off. They get the locals, zoning authorities to agree to it. Because I asked them straight up when I was thinking about buying it. I said, you know, what can you do with it? Like if you have they all have full hookups for the coaches, right? I said, could you literally be living in the coach inside the thing? You know, if you spend a week in there and then you're ready to roll out for your trip or whatever. They said, oh, no problem at all. You know, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can run a business out of there. You can store whatever you want in there. Obviously, they don't want you doing illegal activities out of there, but basically anything else, you can pretty much do it. I mean, that was pretty wild that that was the case. Let's see. And Mr. Q, if you know of any places that are like that are that wide open, let me know, because I'll look into those too. It seems like a very good concept. And again, let me show you their website. That's the website, Hyde Park Storage Suites.com. Hyde Park Storage Suites.com. Let's see if we click on this rotating headline. This is a really kind of dated ghetto, a little bit ghetto website. It doesn't look good on mobile either. But you can see these guys have their cool man caves, 24/7 secure, gates, owner access control, decorated and furnished owners, luxury clubhouse, clean and maintained restrooms with shower, easy access, wide concrete driveways, RV dump station, and trash dumpster. And let's see here. There was a place where they gave some of the uses. 16-foot clear interior ceiling height. See, here's some different sizes that they have. You can see that they go up to 3,000 square feet. So that would be a pretty big unit. I think I'd be interested in one of the ones that's 35 by 55. That's 1,925 square feet. The 35 foot by 55. That'd be plenty of space. You could put a lot of goodies in there. Let's see here. Carlos said hello to Bree. And Craig, when will you be moving to Puerto Rico? That's a good question. It's a possibility. It's a possibility that I'll move somewhere else too. Maybe Costa Rica. I've always had my eye on Costa Rica. Let's see. Saying no names in Scottsdale, but there's a very popular cigar and watch shop nearby. Lips sealed. Okay. There's in the house. There's a place like that in Michigan called M1 Concourse. They have huge garages, which are essentially man caves, and it's built on a racetrack. Everyone has their supercars there. Okay. What do you know about the zoning? Can you use them pretty much any way you want and get access to them anytime you want? That would be kind of interesting. It's a good concept. What really was intriguing to me is the low carry costs. The condo fee was very low. I think it was like $50 a month or something. It was very low. And the taxes were pretty low too. Everything was pretty affordable as far as once you own it, the carrying costs. Let's see. Eduardo says, Kyle, were you looking for a green dial day date? The only problem with a green dial is it's not quite as versatile, right? Like, for example, that white dial there. I mean, that goes with anything, right? And of course, a black dial goes with anything. And so the green is a little more limited, but not terribly so. Not a big downside by any means. let's see. That's Brett Eduardo for his dad. Okay. People have bars built in them, even have balconies and stuff. Stuff at guests on them. I'm not sure what you're. I have seen pics of them, and one is completely done up with marble floors and has elevator lifts for their cars. Cool, super cool. Panama much better than Costa Rica, in my opinion. But in my understanding, the Americans have horrible taxes. Nevertheless, you do live nice in the USA. Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Panama, there's no federal income taxes there. So there you go. I'm looking, and Kevin says, I'm looking for a green date just. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to start closing out some of these tabs. We're talking about elegance. I'm going to close out these elegance related tabs. There's the lovely Bree. Close that one out. Close that one out. Close that one out. These were all when we were talking about elegance. If you didn't see those shows, go back and check them out. I'm going to close all these tabs out. And we were talking about elegance. Okay, and then we talked about these two stunners here. These two stunners the other day. We'll go ahead and close that one out. And now we're back down to Hyde Park, so we'll leave these tabs for now. I think we're caught up. Let me see what these other tabs were. Okay, we're gonna close that one because we're not gonna watch any more of that video. I'm gonna watch that later. And the Bark Finish Date 8, we can close that out. And this Date Just, we can close that out. And the Presage, we can close that out. Close that out. Just going wholesale. Okay, we're going to leave this one because that's still a possibility for the lovely Bree. Okay. Kyle says, I'm not looking for anything because perfection doesn't exist. Yeah, I think we have to wait for the perfect watch. I think and hopefully at some point, I just keep my fingers crossed, hopefully either the folks at Rolex or the folks at Grand Seiko will get in touch with me because I can, with about a 15-minute conversation with them, I can tell them what they need to build to have the perfect watch. Take me about 15 minutes to explain it to them, and that's if I take my time and I'm very succinct because, obviously they're not the sharpest tools in the shed or they would have already built the perfect watch, right? So I've got to take my time and enunciate and be very clear with what I tell them. But if they listen and they write it down and they do what I say, then they'll have the perfect watch. What do you guys think? You think that could happen? You think so? And for Rolex, in Rolex's case, they would have to cooperate with Grand Seiko because they'd have to get them to license the spring drive. They need the spring drive to put in it. Otherwise, it's not going to be the perfect watch. So in Rolex's case, they would have to collaborate with Grand Seiko. Now, in Grand Seiko's case, they can make it all on their own because they don't have to, get anything from Rolex. So they would have the competitive advantage as far as bringing one to market sooner, probably, than Rolex could do. Let's see. Stig says, Carlos, get back to Panama as fast as possible. Over here, you are screwed unless you have no money, and then it's paradise. Oh, jeez. I don't know about that. I think broke people have a tough time no matter where. I think it can be, sometimes that doesn't end well. You can only live off government largesse for so long. And here's the problem with governments spending money is eventually they run out of other people's money, right, to spend. So that's what happens. Let's see. Rumor has it that Rolex will be releasing their new models the first week of September. Oh, interesting. let's see. Kevin D says, not a smart move to build the perfect watch. Have to keep the people chasing. Okay. Stig, I will do in some weeks. Meanwhile, I'm having a great time. Okay. Craig, if Tudor came to you, would you design a watch for them? Well, if they paid me enough, sure. Sure. And I could solve some of their problems pretty quickly. I'd say, first of all, get rid of that ugly hour hand and go back to the Mercedes hour hand on all of your watches. I mean, why would you put that silly, what do they call that silly hour hand that they have on there? I mean, get rid of that right off the top. I mean, there's several things that I can tell them to do that would be pretty quick and easy. Several fixes they could do. Go back to oyster style cases, the old school type cases. I mean, there's some tips I can give them. I just did. All I have to do is watch this show. I just gave them a few tips. But yeah, they've got to really up their game to get where they need to get. Kyle says, I don't need dates. Take them out and make the watches thinner. Absolutely. I agree. We talked about it before. If they came out with an 002 like that, with a really nice gold bracelet with micro adjustments, right? A really nice gold bracelet with micro adjustments with ceramic sleeves in the center links so that you don't have a stretch problem. Okay, eliminate the stretch problem. It's doable. And made it auto wind, gave it a screw down crown, and kept it at about, let's say, 11 mils thick. This one's 10.2 mils thick because we're going to put the auto rotor in there. Let's give them a little bit of wiggle room. So let's say make it 11 mils thick. Datejust is 11.7, so right, it'd even be more trim than a Datejust, right? So let's bring it in at 11 mils thick. Give it auto winding, and give it a screw down crown, and 100 meter water resistance. Put a very nice gold bracelet on it, maybe a beads of rice gold, 18 karat gold, just a really cool looking bracelet. Actually give the buyer 2 or 3 bracelet options. Right? 2 or 3 really nice bracelet options. And that might be it. That might be what we need. I'd wear that every day. I'd wear the watch I just described every day. Maybe have a different dial options, just like they do with the Date 8. Have hands with loom and loomed indices as an option. So in other words, let them buy the snowflake dial like that, just like that, or let them buy one with different hands and indices with loom on them if they want that. Have a couple of different bezel options. Have a fluted bezel available. Maybe even have an engine turn bezel available. Give people some flexibility, for gosh sakes. I think. Let's see. Durr says, they call it the Democrat hour hand. Mr. Q, what about man-caving on a Prevost on the 1/4 acre lot in front of the Gulf of Mexico, say near Appalachia, Florida, rustic option? Well, see, I mean, the man cave serves as a base of operations, and as a, when you're not traveling in the coach, it's got to have a home base, right? It's got to have somewhere to sit. You don't want it sitting on some RV resort somewhere outside in the weather and all that when you're not even there, right? So you want it inside a building. So that's what you need the man cave for, is when you're not traveling and when you're not, at some beautiful destination in the coach. By the way, here's the 231 close up. So yeah. Let's see. Lewis says Craig can't help Tudor because Rolex already exists. So yeah, it might be the way to go is just get rid of the whole Tudor line and just focus on the Rolex line and call it a day. Yeah, that might be the better plan. Rolex is Arnold. Tudor is DeVito. Twins, but not. There you go. And Carlos, Craig is describing a day date. The day date doesn't have the spring drive and isn't 38.5 mils. See, I think the 40 mil day date is too big. I think the sweet spot is 38.5 mils. And if we brought it in at 11 mils thick, that's thinner than a day date. That's significantly thinner than a day date. So, yeah, and with a spring drive, and again, no date, no day of the week, right? Kyle and I have decided we don't need that. We don't need the day and we don't need the date. So I think we've come up with the perfect watch here. And it's even got, for those that want a display case back, actually we could, in my opinion, we could do away with that if that makes it a little thinner, right? That might be a way to keep it nice and thin, is get rid of the display back. After the first few times you look at the movement and the display, you don't use that anymore. You don't use that anymore. And if it's auto wind, you don't need the power reserve indicator, which is on the back on my watch, right? I don't need that if it's not an auto wind watch, because it's gonna stay plenty wound up. It's non-issue. I don't really need the indicator on this watch because it's always pegged. I mean, it's always full of charge. So what the hell? I mean, now if I was trying to rotate it with like 3 watches and that was a problem, then yeah, the power indicator would come in handy, but that's not the plan. So let's see. The day date is perfect other than it has the day of the week and the date. Oh, and it doesn't have the spring drive. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. But I would want the exact dimension of the day date 36. Well, see, that's the other thing is they could come out with, they could offer the watch in 36 mil and 38.5 mil and in 40 mil. They could give people several different size options, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Give people what they freaking want, man. I say, don't force something down their throat that they don't want. Stig's in the house. Craig, you're spot on about Tudor and also about government taking away people's freedom while people have no idea. It's like reintroducing slavery. Here's the thing. I've been seeing all this stuff on my Facebook, and you guys have probably all been seeing the same thing. All these people shaming people because they're not wearing masks. And the latest thing is the Sturgis motorcycle rally. People are posting pictures of that with all those people there, and they're saying, these people are so selfish. They're all going to get COVID, and they're going to take it back to all their communities and infect everybody, and blah, blah, blah. They're so selfish, and so on and so forth. And I comment, and they said, why would they do that? Blah, 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 blah. And I put a one-word comment in there. I said freedom. That's all I commented, right? And of course, all the liberals come in and jump all over that. Oh, yeah, you don't care, blah, 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 And I said, here's the thing. If people are at risk, they can take precautions to protect themselves. If somebody wants to go out and get the freaking virus and get ill, then that's on them. They can't force themselves on you and bring it into your house. If you choose to stay away from them, right, you can do that. If you choose to sequester yourself in your house or in your basement or whatever and stay away from other people indefinitely, you can do that. You can have food delivered. There's things you can do, right? It's called freedom. It's called making choices. And it's called, one thing about the United States of America is we've always had the option to make poor choices, to make bad decisions. Everybody's been able to do that, and a lot of people do it. I personally would not have gone to the Sturgis thing. Personally, I wouldn't have gone, but that's my decision. If they all want to go and have a good time and so on and so forth, and some of them might get sick and some of them might die, that's on them. And they're not going to bring it back to somebody and force it on them. I mean, that's not a thing. And people say, well, but I can't go out and go to the grocery and go here and go there and because they might be around and they might be sick. Well, if somebody might be around and might be sick where you're going to go, if you're going to leave your secure place and you're going to go out and about and shop or whatever, that's you taking a risk. Period. You're putting yourself at risk and you're making a decision that it's worth it. I'm going to take this risk, right? The fact that they're at Sturgis has nothing to do with it. You're still going to potentially be at risk no matter what. There's viruses out there all the time. Everything we do in life has risks. Just getting in the car and driving to wherever you're going is riskier than COVID, right? It's more likely you're going to die in a car crash probably than it is that you would, assuming you're an otherwise healthy individual. So, you know, I will stand up for a person's right to make stupid decisions, right? People do it all the time. And some people make good decisions. So there you go. I mean, look at people that buy tutors. I mean, it's just a stupid decision, right? But some people do it. They can do it. Okay, let's see. Kevin says, yeah, I wish more watches came in sizes. I have small wrist and can't wear the larger ones. Yep. The Sturgis guys were demanding to defund the police, then it would be no problem. You got that right. Never heard of there. Okay, Mr. Q. Put the word in there. I shouldn't say the word because they might shut down my whole freaking channel with me talking about this. The leftists are a real problem. They're a real freaking problem, folks. A real problem in these United States of America. The leftists. So that's the situation we have. All right, let's see. Assad is in the house. He says, hey, Craig. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. We're kind of running out of things to talk about, and we're not even, we might have to do a shorter show tonight. Let's see, Kyle's in the house. My wrist is smaller than Craig's as well. Mine is 7-inch even. I feel like a dress watch / all-arounder at 36 to 37 mil is a sweet spot for me. I like dive sport watches at 40 to 42. I hear you, Kyle, and I agree. I think absolutely. I think the 38.5 mil is suited for probably my size wrist or even a little bigger. I think if you get down to a 7-inch wrist, or I think you could wear that with a 7-inch wrist, but anything any smaller, definitely I think you want to go down a little bit in size. But I'll tell you, that watch looks pretty freaking amazing. Of course, you've seen one in person, so you know the drill. Carlos says, I would describe myself as liberal. In USA, you call it libertarian. I cannot understand why American liberals are called liberals, wanting to tell everybody what they have to do. Yeah, well, they're extreme leftists, really, I guess, is really what we should call them. They're extreme leftists. Libertarian is the way to go. I mean, it's like, that's what has made this country so great, is like I said, people being able to do things their way and all, as long as they're not hurting other people. See, but this is the argument that these extreme leftists make, is they say, oh no, but they are hurting other people because they're going to get the virus and they're going to take it and give it to me. Well, no, you don't have to socialize with them. You don't have to get close to them. You don't have to kiss them. You don't have to hug them. You don't have to go anywhere near them. So I don't think that argument holds up. I can choose what people I'm going to go near, right? And I can choose if I want to put myself at risk. So I don't think that argument holds up, especially since this thing has turned out to be kind of a paper tiger. It's really not as dangerous as, especially to people that are relatively healthy. It's really not anywhere near as dangerous as they initially said it would be. Am I shocked? Am I shocked that these alarmists turned out to be wrong? Oh boy. Okay. Let's see. Stig says, Craig, you are the most honorable man on this earth. Speaking a rare word of freedom. There you go. Kevin, that's spot on with the freedom remark, Craig. Feels like folks are trying to control public places. They want to control all places. They want to control what you can do at home, what you can do at work, what you can do when you're out and about. See, here's the thing. The extreme leftists, what they believe is that they can change our behaviors, that they can mold everybody to behave exactly the way they think is correct, right? That's what they think that they can do if they're given enough control, that they can literally mold us exactly the way they want us, right? So there you go. That's the deal. And they say it's for our own good, by the way. It's for our own good that they have complete control. Kyle's in the house. I haven't seen all of the dress watches out there, but the 002 is the best one I've seen. There you go. Carlos, I don't think Carlos has seen an 002. We should start an elite group of the people that have actually seen in person an 002. We should start an elite group. I think it's a relatively small number of people at this point. Let us know in the chat. I only got 22 people watching right now, but let us know in the chat if you've actually seen an 002 in person. I know Kyle has. Anybody else that's actually seen an 002 in person, not behind glass, but actually maybe in their hand, in person, up close and personal, let us know in the chat if you've actually seen one. An 002, and this is what we're talking about, the 002 Stunner. The Grand Seiko SBGY 002 in 18 karat yellow gold. Let us know in the chat if you've actually seen one. Where is Rich? We need to see that watch on wrist. I hear you. Absolutely. What will we do when the force vax on us? Okay. Tutor our watches too, says Mr. Q. Yeah, I would sell the tutors. Carlos says I've not seen it. So he's not in the exclusive group yet. Hopefully he'll see one soon, and then he'll be able to join the group. Deport TGV says, Craig, what do you think of the latest gen Datejust 41? I think it's a little bit big. I never liked the looks of it. I just thought it looked a little bit, I guess I'm just so used to the 36 mil Datejust that it just looked awkward to me, and I just don't think I would go that way. It's a cool watch on a Jubilee with a fluted bezel, white gold fluted bezel. It's a cool watch. If you have a big wrist, I'm sure it would be fine, right? If you have a pretty big wrist, like let's say 7.5 inch wrist or bigger. But I think personally, if I had to choose, I'd probably just go with a 36 on my wrist. Yeah, I think that's where I would go with that. Kyle says, I know I kind of talk crap on that watch, but I just can't pay more money for something that is less comfortable on wrist than my GS. It's nice looking though, for sure. The 002 was less comfortable on your wrist. My 002 is very comfortable on wrist, like insanely comfortable. So I'm not sure. Maybe you were talking about something else. Let's see. I've tried on a Datejust 41. It looked comically big on my wrist. And Cheetown, I prefer the Datejust 36. Oyster bracelet, fluted bezel, silver dial. See, for me, with the fluted bezel, I've got to go Jubilee with the fluted bezel for me. Cheetown's in the house. I prefer Datejust 36. And by the way, the Jubilee bracelet on the Datejust holds up a lot better. It doesn't show scratches. It really looks great over time. Let's see. I prefer Datejust. Okay, we are okay. Kevin says he's never seen an 002. Kyle says me, Brett, Leslie, Steve, Bree, Kevin, and Leon must have seen it because he is in LT all the time. Bree hasn't seen it in person. She's supposed to come early. She's supposed to come in about a month. She'll see it if she comes, but she has not seen it in person yet. So there you go. No, I'm talking about Rich's SoCo. Okay, yes, the SoCo, hopefully Rich will come in here and show it to us. I don't know where he is. He better get a note from his physician if he hasn't been able to make it. Cheetown says, oyster bracelet on the Datejust 36 looks more butch and versatile with more outfits to me. Yeah, but those polished center links, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Let's see. Kyle says your 002 is very comfortable. There you go. Yeah, I was really surprised. I have to tell you. I've said many times, I think, I have not been a strap guy. I just have not been a strap guy. But the combination of the deployant clasp with that croc strap just really makes it. It really balances it out. You know, having that extra weight with the deployant clasp, it just makes everything just balance, and the watch just floats on the wrist. It's just scary. See, my other 18 karat gold stunner, it never centered properly. Now that was because the strap lengths were not correct. I should have had a custom strap made by HD Straps, right? And that would have probably solved that problem. But you'd still have the problem where you have to thread it through each time and bend the strap and, you know, put it on, and that gives a lot of wear and tear on that strap. So, of course, the strap isn't going to last as long, and you don't have that extra weight of the clasp that kind of makes the whole thing balance a little better. I really was on the fence about the whole deployant clasp because it adds a little thickness, right? I was like, is that really going to be the way to go? But I'll tell you, after using it for a while, it's absolutely the way to go. It's relatively flat on the wrist. It's fine as far as that goes, and the comfort is enhanced tremendously, and the ease of on and off and all that. It's just freaking a joy to wear. That's why I've contemplated getting rid of the 231 and just wearing the 002 all the freaking time. I mean, that would be kind of radical, right? We've talked about that. Be kind of radical. But sometimes we do the radical things on this channel. Okay, Mr. Q, I'm emailed a dress watch for... okay, we'll take a look at that. I think I will see the 002 no later than early November if the thing allows it, okay? I've only seen the 002 25th anniversary. More moolah. What is that? Send a link. Send a link to that 002. I'm not familiar with which one you're talking about. I've only seen the 002 25th anniversary. Yeah, what is that? What is that? I have had a Seiko LX on wrist. That is all, and so I must see myself as a freak with just a Submariner. Okay, that's true. Those darn polished center links. It may be better to go for an OP36 instead. I want an oyster bracelet, okay. Kyle, the 002 is shockingly thin. Really, really an amazing watch in person. So good that they skipped unnecessary stuff like date and make it such a nice size. Okay, let me pull up the... let me pull up the watch from Mr. Q. Mr. Q. Mr. Q. Okay, this is interesting, but again, I'm not a white gold guy, but I do like the case. I do like the case. I'm also not really a Roman numeral guy, but it's a cool looking watch. I like the shape of the lugs, and I don't mind the 4 screws holding the case back on. Some people don't like that. Doesn't bother me particularly. Of course, it looks like it does not have a deployant clasp, so that would be a downside. It's not a hateful piece, but yeah, it's not even in the same league as the 002, the 002 Stunner, the 002 Stunner. The 002 Stunner is difficult to eclipse. Very, very difficult to eclipse. Let's see. Craig, is the 002 a snowflake dial? Yes, it is a snowflake dial. Yes. As far as I know, it's the same. It just has, of course, the gold indices and the gold hands, which in that lighting, it's kind of hard to see, the gold doing its thing. But, yeah, I think that's the only difference. Let's see. OP36 looks better to me than Datejust for sure, and it's cheaper. And I think it's going to be a little bit thinner. I think it's going to be a little bit thinner without the date wheel. Kyle says snowflake dial on the 002 for sure. It blows away the snowflake in person. Yeah, it really is a watch that you have to actually see in person. I mean, you just see that yellow gold, the way it plays with the light when you tilt it and stuff. It's just absolutely insane how stunning it is. Let's see. Cheat Town, Kyle, Jet. When the time comes for me to get a Rolex, Oyster Special 36 or Datejust 36 are on my short list. I don't blame you. Rob says, bring back pagers. I never really used the pagers. Of course, I had one of the first cellular phones back when they were doing the test in the Washington D.C. area. They did a test for a couple of years where they had 150 of the brick style cell phones, ones like the one in Wall Street, right? But the difference was the ones in that test, you couldn't slide the battery off the back. It didn't have the interchangeable batteries, but it was pretty much the same phone other than that, 1-watt phone. And I had that for a couple of years during that test. A bunch of my buddies did have pagers then because, of course, there weren't any other cell phones. There were only 150 of those phones in existence. There are actually 300 of them total, but 150 of them were issued to those of us that participated in the test period, and then they had 150 backup phones. So if it failed, I could just go down to the Motorola office on 3rd Street in D.C., and they would just switch it out with me. And so that went on for a couple of years, and I used that phone. That was a lot of fun to have that puppy. Got me into a lot of concerts free, a lot of events, a lot of stuff. So yeah. Let's see. They're both nice though, Cheetown. I'm just in Craig's camp in that I don't like the polished center links. To port TGV, I prefer the white Oyster Special 39 over the white Datejust 41. Yeah, I think a 39 would definitely be the way to go. Absolutely. Let's see. And I think it's a little bit thinner. That's a plus. Will you please replace your dive watch with a Day-Date, Craig? 2 stunners will be better for you than... Yeah, but I am totally spoiled by the legibility of this on a daily basis, the comfort on wrist, and the accuracy. I'm totally freaking spoiled. I'll tell you, the more I wear and use this, I've had this more than 2 years now, the more I wear and use this watch, the more impressed I am. I mean, look how stunning it is. Look how stunning it is for a dress watch, right? I mean, it is stunning. So, now, if they made this in 18 karat yellow gold, Whoa, that would be worth considering. But of course it would be a lot heavier, but it would still be worth considering. It would be something. Yeah, it would be something, Derek. All right, let's check the email. All right, here we go. All right, which do we prefer? There's option A. Oh, definitely option B. It's not even a close call for me. The white dial just pops. It just pops. Absolutely option B. I guess, are these both 39 mil? Yeah. And just so much more legible. I think the white dial, I think, is going to be a lot more legible. And that it's just a good looking piece, right? Just a good looking piece. And the fact that that bezel is rounded might allow it to resist scratching more than a flatter, more flat, smooth bezel. Maybe that will help with that aspect of it. Not sure. Let's see. In an ideal world, I would like an Oyster Perpetual with a white dial and a Datejust with a silver dial, fluted in Jubilee. Yes. Yeah, Datejust with the silver dial, fluted in Jubilee. No doubt. That's a stunner. Those are both 36 mil, Craig. Okay, 36 mil. Yeah. Well, that looks good on that wrist. That must be a relatively small wrist, right? Because that 36 mil definitely is filling up that wrist. So, but yeah, that looks good. That is a stunner. I mean, that could be a lifetime watch there. That is a good, solid choice. I think they have 3 micro adjustments, right? I think they do. Let's see. On Oyster Perpetual, I prefer the white dial. On Datejust, I prefer silver. Carlos in the house, I would agree with you. I have 6.5-inch wrists, Craig. Okay. Yeah, the 36 mil is going to be perfect. It is going to be absolutely perfect, and that would be a very, very good choice. I like the double hash marks at the 3, 6, and the 9. Very clean presentation there. And is that watch 11.7 mils thick? Does somebody know the spec on that? I think the Datejust is 11.7. Maybe this thing's even trimmer than that. It'd be interesting to know the thickness on that piece. All right, we're getting up to an hour. We managed to squeeze an hour out of this show. A really big show. A really, really big show. So, the lovely Bree was in the chat, so I'm going to show her website. I'll do that for her. BreeFitDance.com, BreeFitDance.com. Go there and find all her social media links and sign up as a Patreon. Send her $5 a month, for gosh sake. Sign up as a Patreon. Why not? Let's see. Kyle says, yeah, Cheaton, I wouldn't go any bigger than 36. Those watches are in stock regularly at the ADs. They should be flexible in pricing on either of those. Yes. Could you change the bezel to a fluted? I would want to leave the watch original. If you want a fluted, I'd go with the Datejust. That's personally what I would do. Cheatown, I tried on a Datejust 36, and while it felt a little small compared to sports watches, it was the right proportion for my wrist. There you go. Misspoke is not 002. The 002 will be the 60th anniversary. Emailed the coming 002. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Let's see. They're really cool. Do not tell me we are already wrapping the puppy up, Carlos. Okay, well, let me go. Wow, I shouldn't have cut off that picture. That's pretty hot. She's wearing my, in that picture, she was wearing my, Oxford that was alpaca. Alpaca. An Oxford sport coat made of alpaca. Oh, yeah, I remember this piece. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's too thick. It added thickness to the watch because it's a high beat. And I don't need the date. And so, yeah, that would be, I'd rather stick with the 002 that I have, absolutely. Yes. Let's see. Derek says, Craig, wait here a minute. Did the OP never come, Oyster Petrol never come with a fluted bezel? That's a good question. I don't think so. Let's see. Cheetown Stig, yep. But it also depends on what sort of watch it is. I don't like a smaller, dressier, no-date watch to be the size of a sport watch. Yeah. Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. I've said I would not want that watch to be any bigger. That's 38.5 mils. And to me, I wouldn't want it any bigger on my wrist. I think it looks great on my wrist, but I would not want any bigger. Definitely not. So, okay. Megan's in the house. Hey, Megan, you're here right when we're wrapping up. Just in time to say hello and goodbye. That's amazing how she can do that. So yeah. So there you go. BreeFitDance.com, and we're going to wrap this puppy up, hence why the date just 41 is too big for what sort of watch it is. I hear you. Absolutely, I hear you. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you click subscribe and click the bell.